Hey, Shalom family. So I wanted to say something about the way that we approach reading these additional books that many people are getting into now, along with the scriptures, right? We have our scriptures, and then, we have the apocrypha, which was originally a part of the scriptures, right? And then we have books such as Enoch, Jubilees, Jasher, these different books. And then we have, I have this big yellow volume of 2 different volumes of the pseudepigrapha. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but the pseudepigrapha that has all of these various books in it. You got people getting into Gnostic gospels. You got people getting into what are those things called? These books of Mormon, a lot of different books, right? So people are getting into all of these different books today, right? So one of the things that is an appeal to us is the fact that these books are ancient, right? So we're on this journey to try to get back to the ancient path and the ancient writings, the ancient ways, the ways before this current system changed the way that we understand things and view things. And, so the issue is we're not actually examining these things. Many people are not. Some people may be, but many people are not examining these things and testing it to see if it is in alignment with the scriptures, because many people have not fully come to an understanding in a full study and comprehension of the scriptures, right? So if you don't have that foundation, you're gonna have a hard time determining what is in alignment with it and what is not, right? So some people are just throwing that whole concept out the door whatsoever, saying, hey, it doesn't have to align with scripture, because people are more and more tossing the scriptures to the side in preference for all of these other writings. Okay, so let me share this, right? So the reason why everyone is getting into these things is because it's considered ancient, right? So let me draw this picture together with me, right? Imagine today is 2024, right? It's 2024. Imagine, I don't think we'll have that much longer left for sure, but imagine 500 years from now, okay? Imagine it's year 2500. Imagine it's year 3000, right? Imagine we're here for that long, and we've all come and gone, and 1,000 years from now, somebody finds some writings, they tap into the cloud that we have. They'll have something far more advanced if they were here in that part of the future, but they tap into all of our documentations and all of our things, and they tap into it, and they're like, wow, these are ancient writings, right? This is from the year 2024. These are the writings of our ancestors, and they're like, wow, let's see, what they had to say. So we, being alive today, know and understand that there is a diversity of people on this earth that are writing books, that are saying things, that are making videos, that are of all different views, right? So from spiritual to political to so somebody can get a writing and realize, oh, there was a black president named Barack Obama, and they get somebody's book, they get his biography, and they get his perspective, and it's like, whoa. And they get somebody's who thought he was the best president in the world that we ever had, and they read that ancient writing, they're like, wow, it was a great president back then named Barack Obama. Or they may come across a writing of somebody who believes that Barack Obama was the Antichrist. And they come across that writing, and they're like, oh man, the Antichrist came already. So now they believe, oh no, the Antichrist already came. He came in year 2024. So religiously, we have all of these different belief systems, right? Everybody writes a book. Somebody pick up a book by Creflo Dollar or T.D. Jakes, and they're going to have one perspective of what we thought of the faith. But if they happen to get a book by an Israelite brother or sister, or if they happen to get a book from somebody that's in the New Age, but they use the scriptures, depending on, there's all kinds of views, all kinds of people, all kinds of perspectives today going around, and different people are writing books, right? So the same way, if they were to look at our writings as ancient writings and value it just because it was a long time ago, they would be in trouble. They would be very confused. So in the same way, right now, just because a book is ancient, just because it existed a long time ago, does not mean that it is true. Does not mean that it is telling us the mind of Yah or the will of Yah or the ways of Yah. That does not necessarily mean, just because they're speaking of things that are related to the scriptures, just because the person may have been an Israelite, possibly, or if the person may have been, alive during a time period of the Messiah, or just because somebody is in proximity. We even see in the scriptures, in the renewed writings, that in the letters of the apostles, that they were saying that, they were talking about divergent beliefs during that time period. There were various different sects of people that were have different beliefs and ways of seeing things. There were all kinds of different, what we would call cults of different types of people and belief systems, even at that early stage of the first century for that time period. And back during the Babylonian captivity, there were things that were picked up, from the Babylonians, and in each captivity there were things that were picked up amongst our people from the Greeks, so there's all kinds of mindsets. So just because something was written down, even though during that time it was less access to the capacity to document things, right? So it was typically people of a certain class that were able to have those type of documentations and preserve them, right? So there's value, right? There's value in it, because you get to see what the mindsets were during that time. You get to see what the perspectives were during that time, right? And it may be something that is valuable in it, right? I've read a lot of these books. I've looked at them. I've examined different books, right? And I've found value in different things. There, just like today, you can buy a book that's not the scriptures and a book that someone wrote and get value out of it, right? And you can buy some that don't have any value, right? Or it may be something that you don't agree with, but you could take a little bit out of it. So, I'm not saying that, don't look at any books or whatever. Do as the Most High Yah is leading you. I know there's times the Most High has led me to look at something, right? There's times that my own flesh has led me to look into something. There's times that a divergent spirit that was trying to get me off course has led me to look at something, right? So we have to understand and know and determine what is leading us, what desire, what is the purpose of us going into these different things, especially if we don't have a good foundation and understanding of what we all who are scripture believers agree to be books that were written and passed on under the inspiration of the Most High Yah and through our ancestors. The books that we agree on, most people don't really have a grasp on those things yet, right? So what is the agenda? What is the goal? What is it that we're trying to do when we're going into all of these different things when we don't have a foundation? Now, if you have a foundation, right, go for it. If you have the capacity to discern and to examine, right, if you're going to look at the whole picture, like for example, I said I had that pseudepigrapha, right? So I brought the pseudepigrapha, and before you read each book, it has like a whole section that goes into details about it. Who wrote it? When was it written? When, what's the date of the oldest manuscripts of this book? And I was shocked by some of them, because it may be something like, something that's supposed to be written, something that's speaking about early times like Adam and Eve, however, it was written very recently, right? So, so you have to examine who might have wrote this. It was called pseudepigrapha. Pseudo means false, right? Not that the books are false necessarily, but that the name that is attributed to the book. So a book may say that it's written by this particular person, but that person is not the one who wrote the book, but it was written as if it's that person writing it, right? So in some instances, it may be something that is inspired of the Spirit, right? It might have been a person who was led of the Spirit of the Most High, who was led to write something. In other instances, it could have been anybody, right? So we have to be careful and mindful of what we are receiving. So when I went through the pseudepigrapha, I've read the beginning portions to see where did this come from, how late is it dated, what information can I find out about this writing, some things that was like, okay, this was written during this captivity, during the Hellenization period. Was this written by a Hellenized Israelite or was it written by someone who was still rooted in the Hebraic mind, right? So same thing during the first century with Gnosticism and different viewpoints of how the Messiah was viewed and all these different things, right? So just because something is old, family, just because something is ancient writings does not mean that we should just accept it and jump in. And I see a lot of people just get excited when they see these books and they know it's old. The title is a name of somebody that's in the scriptures, and you just jump into it and fully accept it and embrace it, despite the fact that it may be very divergent thoughts that stray from what the Most High has revealed to us, right? So we just gotta not get caught up in the web of, just because these books have been around, available for a long time. We just are just now, many of us are just now getting into the vein of accessing these type of books or knowing that they exist, and stuff like Amazon and, the easier access to them, that we have available now has just made it rise up, to the forefront. But we just have to be careful, mindful, led of the Ruach. This is just a follow-up video to the last video I did about using discernment and being careful of what we are taking in, because it will lodge itself into our knowledge bank, into our our knowledge, and become something that we are now believing. And it's hard to unbelieve something. It's hard to unhear something. It's hard to unlearn something. So just be careful that you're not adding things to your understanding that are not true, right? So I just wanted to add that and share that. So be led of the Ruach. Let the Ruach lead you in all things. And, whatever you do find amongst the books that is valuable, take it in. Take the value that is approved of the Most High, that is in alignment, and that adds edification to what He has revealed. There's a lot of things that may add edification to what has already been revealed, right? It may add, it may be said in a different way that hits different, right? It may be said in a way, that clarifies, right? But don't just assume that everything that you read and that you see is correct just because it fills in a gap, right? I could fill in the gap. I can make up what happened. We all have stories and ideas of what we think may have happened during certain times, but that doesn't mean that just because somebody during a different time period had a view and they wrote it down means that is what it was, right? So be discerning, right? Be discerning, and get your foundation straight. Stay rooted, and may the Most High YAH continue to bless you. Shalom.